I'm the Commissar. We're talking Forged Alliance forever, and you like it, so you should have put a patch on it. Well, this week we've done exactly that. Let's talk about what's changed and how it might affect your game. First port of call is the Seraphim T3 sub-hunters, the Yathsus. Now, they've been a little bit overpowered recently, and even the recent changes didn't fix that. So, they're now a little faster and more manoeuvrable, but they can take less damage, and the torpedo defense doesn't reload quite as fast. As a result, it's slightly easier to counter them with other dedicated sub-hunters like Cooper torpedo boats or Barracudas, but still, being T3 sub-hunters, they're the best sub-hunters there are. Mass fabricators are volatile. Everyone knows that. You kill one, it explodes, things around it die. Problem was, it was exploding a bit too far, and so things like gunships that killed a mass fabricator would die in the explosion. The blast radius of the mass fab has now been nerfed a bit, so that gunships no longer die directly in the explosion. Do you ever get frustrated with your torpedo bombers that even in the early game they're just not paying off? Well, the cruisers are the main problem here. They've just been doing a little too much damage recently. As a result, the UEF, Eon and Cybran cruisers have had the splash radius on their anti-air projectiles reduced. And the Seraphim cruiser, which just fires flak directly, has had the range on its flak reduced. Now, we do still want there to be a decent anti-air naval unit in the late game. As a result, carriers have had the splash damage on their anti-air increased across all factions, and the Cybrans have had it increased particularly because for the Cybrans they don't have the advantage of T2 or T3 hover shields or shield boats to cover their carriers, and so they have to rely on stealth, and in the late game stealth is less effective than shield, so the Cybrans have a bit more splash on their carriers to counter. Overall, torpedo bombers better at lower tech navy, but less good against higher tech navy, as long as you've got carriers in there for the anti-air. The previous rework of tactical missiles gave the Seraphim slightly faster missiles, which is all well and good, but it means that the Seraphim cruiser was rather overpowered. In particular, its missiles on the cruisers could be used to hit other naval units much more reliably, so the DPS and splash radius of the Sera cruisers have been reduced on their tactical missiles. It makes them only a teeny bit less effective against attacking buildings, but because other naval units can actually move, it makes them a lot less effective at countering navy. The Cybran walking destroyer can often be a formidable foe in and of itself, but when backed up by mermaid stealth boats, that is increased immensely. So, scouting needs to be just the tiniest bit more effective in order to counter Cybran stealth boats. Therefore, the AA range on the destroyer has been reduced slightly, so that scouting is just a little more effective. And our last balance change is also a naval change. Eon battleships and Tempests are slightly more expensive, because they have such phenomenal firepower. Simple as. And finally, we also have a little graphics upgrade. Saver's tireless work on making the HQ and factory designs better has been included. Check out these amazing designs. So, what does this mean for your game? Well, overall, T2 air, like torpedo bombers, better against navy to start with. However, in the late game, you're going to have to be more careful, especially if there are carriers on the field, and if you're defending against air, build lots of carriers when you get to T3. And if you're Seraphim, you can't use sub-hunters as the backbone of your navy anymore. You're going to have to rely a little bit more on things like battleships, like the rest of us rank and file races. That's the changes for this month. I look forward to hearing you tell me what happened in your game as a result. And other than that, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and obey. I'm the Commissar. I will see you next time.